So I'm going to see if I can steal this mic. Can you stretch it out? All right, I'll do what I can with it, right? So, kind of like you said, right? Like I'm a real estate guy. And when I say a real estate guy, I've been in real estate for about 12 years now. And I teach people how to wholesale. And the reason I'm passionate about wholesaling is because it's what started my entire business. It's what started my entire journey. It saved my life twice. All right, wholesaling saved my life twice. I'm gonna explain that to you. So I started out in 2008. I vividly remember this. All right, I dropped out of college. Let me change that, right? So I often say I dropped out. In reality, they kicked me out, all right? My mom still does not know that, so I don't know what the recording situation is here. But, she has no clue at all right, that I got kicked out of school. But they put me on academic probation. And they had me going to these meetings, okay? I'm in a real estate fraternity. I'm studying real estate development. And I start self-studying. My dad, when I was younger, forced me to read books. He would take me and my brother, and he would lock us in our rooms for an hour. The requirement was 1 hour of reading a day. And I'll be honest with you guys, I thought this was like the dumbest thing ever when I was in high school. So you get older and you start to realize something very, very critical. That all the information is in the books. And why wait 4 years in college for somebody to teach me something I could just simply learn on my own? So I start self-studying. I go to my professor, my real estate professor, and I tell him, I say, hey, look, his name was Robert Taylor. Shout out to Robert Taylor. I don't know what he's doing these days. All right? And I tell him, hey, look, I've figured out how to make some money in real estate. Tell him I want to wholesale houses. He has no idea what I'm talking about. He's a broker. All right? No offense to any brokers, agents in the room. Love you guys. All right? So he says, hey, listen, man, stay in school. All right? You don't know what you're talking about just yet, but you're going to figure it out. But I never went back to class after that. All right? And I had a realization. And what it was is I realized that I was in school to learn how to go get a job, not how to be an owner. I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be an owner. You guys are in Palm Beach. Is everybody mostly from Palm Beach here?
No. Miami.
All right, Miami, that's a vibe. All right, so here's what happens, right? Like, you guys are in this beautiful area. It's a little chilly this weekend. I'm like seeing Ferraris and Bentleys everywhere and all this stuff. When I was a kid, I used to like fantasize about what that was like. When I would travel with my family, my parents would be in the airport, and I'd see people in suits. I never wear suits anymore. All right, I'd see people in suits, briefcases, and like I'd admire it. I wanted to be that. I wanted to know what that felt like. I wanted to, be able to absorb that type of thing. And as I got older, and I get to this point in my life where I'm in college and I had to make these critical decisions of go to class, not go to class, go to a party, study. Partying was a lot better than studying, all right? Kids, stay in school, please, all right? And so, here's the deal, right? I realized I just didn't want a job. I wanted to own some shit. And when you want to own some shit, you gotta learn some shit. So I started getting very intentional in all of this. September 2008. Does anybody remember what happened in September 2008?
Yeah.
Listen, shit got bad. All right? Lehman Brothers fell that month, I believe. Now this is when I'm like pumped up. I'm like, man, I'm about to crush this real estate. Like did everybody else, is it just me, like thought it'd be, like 6 to 12 months, you'd be driving a red Ferrari with a mansion, doing whatever you wanted. Like that was what I thought was gonna happen. Who was the guy that used to be on late night infomercials? He had like the question marks on his suit. Does anybody remember his name?
Yeah.
All right, I bought his course, and that's what he told me would happen. All right, that's not what I tell you will happen in my course. All right, at all. All right. So I started to kind of piece things together. I started to figure things out. But I'm at a bad point in time. Right, it's 2008. It's September. The market has crashed. So I remember having the understanding that I needed to wait patiently for whatever the bottom may be. I find out about this little thing called wholesaling. Now, the concept at the time really didn't make, a lot of sense, right? Like in its simplest form, wholesaling is finding somebody that's willing to sell something for X, and then finding somebody else that's willing to pay Y for it. You know, that's like a mind-blowing thought when you're like 22 years old. That you could simply find somebody willing to sell a house, find somebody else willing to buy said house, and you can make a spread. So I find out this business model, and I'm like, man, I'm about to get paid. Like, this is shit. So like, no debt, no contractors. Okay. Like, okay. So I'm online and I see a guy post a check for 34 grand. Wholesale, 34 grand. He's giving away a Jaguar to the next person that buys one of his houses. So I'm like, shit, yeah, I'm wholesaling for sure. Like, that's where it's at, all right? So I start wholesaling, doing pretty well. The market starts to recover. Does anybody remember the first time home buyer tax credit? It's like $6,500 if I remember correctly. I don't know if anybody, I'm aging myself. I'm 35, but I've been doing this for a long time. So this is tax credit. What's that?
You're young.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said. So I'm doing this and I start flipping houses. And this tax credit comes about. And I figure out pretty fast that if I focus on affordable housing for first-time home buyers and I cater my business to this credit, I probably could do a decent amount of business based on that. I find a hard money lender. I don't know if there's any hard money lenders in the room. All right? I say that with compassion. All right? You know, hard money lenders are like, is it fair to call hard money lenders sharks? Is that fair?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. All right? Now, hard money is something that we need. Like, I needed it to get started. You know, I didn't have any money, I didn't have any credit, so I needed hard money to get started. Within 2 years, I had flipped 80 houses. So when you hear that, and when I say that sometimes in my mind, it seems so crazy to be 22 and by 24, multi-millionaire, that flipped over 80 houses, wholesaling a ton of houses. And that was all great, but it made me lose myself. And that's really kind of what I want to share with you guys. The loss, or me losing myself, was really kind of rooted in fear. You know, I think oftentimes that we use fear as a method to control our pace versus motivating ourselves to push at a higher pace. All right, to operate at a higher frequency, to be more intentional, to be, you know, you need me to come down?
Mm-hmm, please.
You guys mind if I hang out with you guys? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna hang out. How about that? Alright, so, you know, I'm doing all these houses, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I've made it. Like, this is the shit that I was dreaming of, right? Like, I used to carry a briefcase. Alright, I went out and bought a briefcase. I used to wear suits every day. Well, not every day, but, you know, a lot, right? Went and bought a brand new BMW, straight off the lot. Dumbest decision I've ever made, by the way. Alright? Please don't do that, alright? You know, it sucks when you bump into a friend and you got a brand new BMW that you paid almost $100,000 for, and he has the exact same car, 3 years older than your car. And you say, hey man, did you pay $93,000 for that? Nah, I paid $36,000. You're like, oh shit, okay, I probably made a bad financial decision. Alright? So I work through that, things are rolling, doing a lot of property. Alright, I'm buying a lot of property. I get a tip from a friend about a neighborhood in town that is supposed to be like the next big neighborhood. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. Okay? It's an inner city neighborhood whose early onset of gentrification. So I go to this neighborhood and it just really hits me in an impactful way. I'm from the suburbs, all right? You know, people called me the rich kid when I was growing up. I wasn't rich, but, you know, it used to be if you made at least $100,000 a year, people thought you were rich. That's not the case. Right, 100,000, like everybody talks about $100,000 months these days. So I'm progressing in my journey, I'm doing all these houses, but I start to get to this point of, and I didn't know it then, I just know it now. Like, I wasn't happy. I'm dealing with contractors all day, every day, I'm on job sites constantly, I'm like living at Lowe's, right? The big room, the pro account at Home Depot, and spend over $250,000 a year, get my kickback every year at the end of the year. I feel like, I've arrived, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But it sucked all the fun out of the journey. It sucked all the fun out of the process. It just became this like monstrous machine that had to be fed constantly. Capital had to be raised 24/7. It was frustrating. Like, it just wasn't what it was when it first started. And so, I get to this point where I get my first lawsuit. Anybody else in here been sued before? Don't be ashamed of it. It's part of business. All right? So I get sued and I'm like heartbroken. All right? Call my attorney and he's like laughing about it. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this dude? Like, why does he think this is like funny, And he goes, hey man, you're finally a business owner now. I'm like, shit. I'm like, they didn't, this wasn't in the course with the guy with the question mark, Carl Sheets, all right? He didn't say it would go this way. So I start getting hit with like all these different things that come with just growing a large-scale business, a large-scale operation. My burn rate a month was $200,000 a month. I had to spend $200,000 every single month to make a buck. You guys know how stressful it is? My overhead, just mortgages and contractor bills and all these different things, $200,000 every single month. And so I remember one year, I'm talking to my accountant, about 2016. And she's like, hey, you did so great. You made $1.4 million last year. Hoorah. And I'm like, well, I'm not trying to be funny here. Where in the hell is the $1.4 million? And she looks at me like I'm nuts. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, look, I got $337,000 in the bank right now. You're telling me I took home $1.4 million. So that was the first time that I realized, like, I have a massive gap somewhere. There's a massive problem that I'm not aware of yet. But I didn't do anything about it. Because I had this beast of a machine to continue feeding on a daily basis, to continue to make work. I had people working for me. I had people that were dependent on me, their families. That's real pressure, when you have responsibility for other people's lives. It can take a lot of energy out of you, a lot of happiness out of you on a daily basis. I really got to the point where I was working for everybody else, making sure that everybody else was okay. 2017, I got hit with a massive lawsuit, massive, $750,000. I remember having a conversation with my attorney. Same attorney. All right, and he says, Chris, you can settle this for $25,000. What do you guys think I told him?
Yes.
I told him absolutely not. I said, listen, man, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't wrong this person in any type of way. It doesn't make any sense to me to pay this person $25,000. He says, hey, as legal counsel, I'm telling you, just cut the check. It'll probably cost you $50,000 to $60,000 for me to do it. This is pride and ego. So I say to him, hey, listen, I don't give a shit, 50, 60,000, whatever. I'd rather you get 50, 60,000 than give that guy 25,000. So he said, okay. I'll take it. So that's in 2017. So I started going through this battle. This is a real legal battle, like strategy, maneuvering. It's a lot of stuff. It ends up costing me almost $300,000 and I almost went bankrupt. I used to wear a hat during this time period. I don't know if anybody here knows the comedian Little Duval. He's got a brand called Rich Broke. Like, I embodied what Rich Broke was at the time. I wore the clothes because it made me feel better about the situation. And so I was literally rich broke, right? Now it wasn't like broke. But I would tell you that being broke is better than being rich broke. So when you owe millions and you have people saying, hey, where is the money? when your builder supply company is calling you and saying, hey, you owe $100,000 on your builder supply account. Now you're having cash flow problems. So I'll talk to my attorney again. Now, a recurring theme here, by the way, is to have a great attorney. That is a critical part of your team. All right? So he says to me, he says, Chris, I don't know, man. Might be time to think about bankruptcy. I'm like, shit, I don't even know what bankruptcy really means. And he's like, hey, Donald Trump did it. I'm like, this is still kind of successful, perhaps, right? Maybe this does make sense. But then I thought about something that's really important. All these people had betted on me and trusted me. I'd raised a lot of capital, millions of dollars a year, had all these relationships, all these different things. And it hit me, I'm like, I can't do this. This doesn't make any sense. Like, that's not right. What if I was on the other side of this? So I told myself in 2017, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to work through it. That's what I do. I'm young, my early 30s. How hard could it be to simply just work through a situation? So I had a realization. I owned all this property, and I'm not even talking about my rental portfolio. I'm just talking about stuff we had in inventory. Lots, houses. I'm paying mortgages on houses that we haven't even touched. I bought them a year and a half ago. Paying a monthly mortgage. And so I said, hey, look, let's look at everything that we have. Let's categorize it out. And let's sell all this shit off. So strategically, I went through my portfolio of inventory. And thankfully, I've done one critical thing the entire time that got me out of this entire situation. I had always controlled my own inventory. Never depended on realtors. I always had systems in place to go direct to seller to find deals that I needed for my business. So what does that mean? That means I was able to buy everything at an extreme discount. So although I'm paying these mortgages and insurance and property taxes, all these different things, I had bought these properties so well that on average I was able to sell each property that I had for a $24,000 profit on average. All right. So I sold off 26 properties. So 26 properties in my pipeline, I sold everything off. And I started taking that money and I started applying that money into my wholesale business. Now, there was a second that I felt like an idiot, I'll be honest, all right? Because I had to accept the fact that I had been marketing direct to seller for so long, but my ego had allowed me to not even wholesale houses. I had looked at wholesaling like it was beneath me. I'm an apartment complex, and I'm building houses, I'm doing deals with the city of Richmond, and all this different stuff. What the hell am I going to wholesaling now? But then I realized something very simple. And I'm laughing because it is truly this simple. And I know that this is stuff that people don't know, because I have conversations with people all the time. I've had thousands of students since 2020. I started my coaching program in May of 2020. I've had thousands of students, and what I realized is everybody believes that there's some invisible totem pole in real estate that you're supposed to climb. I'm going to be a wholesaler, but now I want to fix and flip. Now I want to build houses. Now I want to do this. Now I want to do that. I'll just be honest with you. You got it wrong. You have two goals in real estate. In business, you have two goals. You have active income and you have passive income. So the realization became for me, well, wait a second. If I can create active income by wholesaling and not fixing, flipping, and building houses, I probably could explode my revenue on a monthly basis. Now, when I started wholesaling, all right, like I said, I started in 2008. It was a bit different then, all right? It was like Friday nights, licking stamps and envelopes. You guys remember the yellow notepad, with the blue pen? You're scribbling on Friday night instead of going to the club with your friends. And you're proud. You're like, oh, I'm killing it. I'm printing shit off the printer. I'm sending out postcards and letters and da-da-da. Well, I came to realize, I'm like, wait a second. The business has drastically changed. The business now revolves around tech. It revolves around processes. Wait a second, you're saying that I can go on a website and send out 5,000 letters with the click of a mouse? That's interesting. That's different. So I figured out pretty quickly, this I can make work. This is something I can take and build systems and build processes, and I can make work. And so I realized that if I needed active income, wholesaling was the way to do it. Because here's the reality, right? Most people start one of two ways on this journey of real estate. And you really need to lock in and know which one you are. So you're either somebody that's got money from somewhere, whether it's family money, nice W-2, whatever the case might be. Look, I made $25,000 a year working at T-Mobile in a call center. So what does that mean when you start a business? Well, that means it doesn't matter how much money you're making, you gotta bootstrap that shit. Right? The money you're making, you gotta take that and live on it too. So if you're making $100,000 on a deal, it sounds sexy. But you got taxes, you got overhead, you got marketing. And then we're just always trying to like pull these little pieces to take home. Obviously our lifestyle started to change. So we have more money coming in and circulating around us. Or, again, if somebody has a nice W-2. If somebody has a nice W-2, that is your active income. Right? Like that is your active income. You should always, if you've got a strong W-2, should be looking at passive opportunities. This is important. Because what I came to realize in my struggles, I did like this analysis of everybody around me in real estate that was successful. I wrote their names on paper, and I wrote down how they started. Some of these people I went and took them to lunch, I wanted to know their stories. There was a common denominator. The people that started with no money were struggling like I was. Regardless of how big their business was, they were struggling exactly how I was. The people that had nice W-2s, the people that had nice rental portfolios, well, on their bad months, they weren't that stressed. I mean, they were, they weren't like April 2020 stress. You guys remember that? Are we going to get around the 1st of April? Oh my God, right? And so I'm starting to have like all these realizations, and it caused me to figure out that I need to make a drastic shift. All I simply really needed to do was figure out how to attack active income, and then how to attack passive income. Well, the best way for me to attack active income was to use the skill set that I'd already developed over time. How to go direct to seller. Like I'm one of those people, you guys probably can't tell right now, but I'm one of those people, like when I was growing up, I was the friend that if we got in trouble, like the cops kind of came knocking a little bit, It's like, hey, let him talk. Like, let him go talk to them. Let him, CJ's going to sort it out. All right? Well, that translates pretty well into real estate talking to homeowners. All right? I can sell pretty well. So I started developing a strategy for active income. And so I realized, again, it's a tech business now. This is kind of simple. I just need a couple of platforms to really kind of explode things in the way that I need to. When I was around, we didn't have prop streams and Yellow Letter HQ and all these different resources. Now that I had these things in my hand, it just became a point of just developing these things out. So I started with a simple system, all right? Cold calling, text messaging, and voicemails. It's 3 favorite ways for me to market. Now, people ask me all the time, well, hey, does direct mail still work? What about driving for dollars? Look, that stuff all works. But I didn't like the acquisition cost per deal of direct mail. And I didn't like driving around, taking pictures of houses and writing down notes. Like before the deal machine happened, you had to voice record the addresses to make sure you had it, play it back when you got back to home or to your office. That shit sucked. So I started developing these strategies, and I started getting very intentional. And here's how simple, I like to look at business in simple concepts. So I realized, I said, well, wait, if I can do 10 deals a month and make on average $10,000 a deal, that's $100,000 a month. Now, who in here flips houses or builds houses? Anybody? They can all tell you how hard it is to make $100,000 net a month flipping houses. That's hard. You got contractors, you got debt, you got all these different things. When I was chasing a lot of that stuff, but then again, I had to accept this, like I just need active income. So we started deploying these systems. First, where I'm in, my home market, Richmond, Virginia. Then I started shifting out. Went down to 757, which in my area, that's Hampton Roads, Portsmouth, Newport News, Norfolk. Started doing a lot of deals in those markets. And again, I realized 10 deals, 10,000 per deal. If I could make that my goal per market, that's $100,000 a month per market. So I just need to be in 10 markets to make $1 million a month. I mean, that can't be that hard. So I started plugging away at that. Now I've been buying, passive assets at the time. Not enough. So I started putting money into rental properties. Who owns the rentals in here? All right, listen. So, rentals suck. Can we just all be honest and admit the fact that they suck? Why? Because we go to these REIAs, right? Like this Palm Beach REIA, I feel it, and it's like, yeah, I got 125 rentals. Yeah, I got 200 doors. Man, I started to notice the guys ain't really that happy. I wasn't happy when I was buying my rentals. People would call me and beating up the stove. Something's always wrong at the house. So again, I adjusted my model. I like owner financing. I like doing JV deals with my lender. We're finding a seller that's willing to give me owner financing. And I like doing wraparound mortgages. Because what I realized with wraparound mortgages is I could create differences in communities and still make a lot of money. I can give people mortgages that don't have the opportunity to go get a traditional mortgage and give them an opportunity at home ownership. That's what this country is about. So I went out and started laying the work in to do these things. That's how I created my passive income. When the COVID situation happened, I wasn't stressed out, right? I made a jab earlier, right? April 1st. I remember all my friends were freaking out, going crazy. Like, oh my God, are people going to pay their rent? The country's going crazy. COVID. I'm like, man, I don't know. Right? Like, I got a bunch of notes. These people are paying me mortgages. I ain't stressing. One of the best decisions I've ever made. I'm able to do good in my community and make money at the same time. Real estate has to, at some point, for all of us, become about impact. Not just impact to ourselves, but impact as a whole. Real estate is what shapes communities. Communities are what build us. Communities are what make us as individuals exactly who it is that we are. We pride ourselves, everybody does, on where they came from. I'm from Palm Beach. I'm from Richmond, Virginia. I'm from this neighborhood. I'm from that neighborhood. But real estate, this is how we actually drive and impact people and actually create change. When I realized this, I made a decision to myself. I said, okay, I can be purposeful and I can be profitable. I get that. I like that. So I'm on this mission. Things recover by 2019. I'm wholesaling out of my ass. I'm going crazy. I'm just wholesaling anything in my hands. Right? So I run into a guy. You guys probably know this guy. I see my guy Nazar over here. Shout out to Nazar, right? So Nazar's telling this guy, does anybody in here know Maxwell?
Of course.
All right, he's kind of cool. All right. So I'm at an event Max is speaking at. He comes up to me afterwards and he says, "Hey, are you Chris?" I'm like, what is this guy? He's in feds. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, I've been hearing about you. We need to talk. I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, okay. So he says, hey, let's get dinner. We got dinner that night. One of the things that he said to me, he says, man, you have a very powerful voice. Why are you not using it to help people? I had no real answer for that. Coaching, this thing that I'm doing now, speaking, it didn't really have any type of appeal to me whatsoever. I'm a pretty laid back, under the radar guy for sure. like the concept of like shooting videos and coaching people, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like I'm just gonna wholesale and go to the beach, you know, hang out, you know, travel, all these different things. That same year, 3 months later, a few guys in town, 12 guys in town, asked to take me to dinner. So they take me to dinner, they take me to Morton Steakhouse, kind of like a nice steak, right? Takes me to Morton Steakhouse. And they take me to dinner to thank me for mentoring them. And we're at dinner and they're like going around the table telling me how I've impacted and changed their lives. You know, one friend of mine, he was telling me how, and I didn't know this when I met him. He had just got out of prison. Just got out of prison. Started teaching him how to wholesale real estate, started becoming really successful in real estate. Now this is way later than we're having this dinner. And it started to hit me. This is December 2019. It started hitting me. I said, man, you know, I really need to do this. Like, I really need to, like, reach back. I really need to help. Because I had the realization, especially as an African American, right? Like, I had the realization that how many people behind me are going to be able to get through the door? And I want to be clear about what I mean when I say that, right? Like, I told you guys about some of the struggles I've had in business, not all. Business is tough. Entrepreneurship is tough. Like, this isn't like walk in the park, everything's good, saw peaches and rainbows, let's get rich, let's drive Ferraris in Palm Beach. And that's not usually how it goes, all right? You know, there's a saying, right? It's like the first man through the door, that's who gets shot. I went through the door first. And I had to accept the fact that I had not reached back. I had to self-analyze. I'm like, I got this thing, right, where I talk to myself in the mirror. I don't know if anybody else does that. I might just be the only crazy person in the room. I talk to myself in the mirror, and I like to have conversations to figure stuff out. So what does it really say if I'm not doing anything to be purposeful? What does that say? I didn't like what that said about me as a person. I didn't like how that felt. So, you know, me and Max and Nas, we started doing a bunch of content together. May of 2020, I decided to start a coaching program. You know, the thing about coaching people, you know, is you don't really know what to do. Like, let's just be all honest, right? Like, you know how to explain the business, you know how to explain the process, but that's not coaching. That's not what coaching is. Coaching is like being a therapist. Coaching is being a teacher. Coaching is being a friend. Coaching is being an ally. Like, that's true coaching. You know, I didn't start coaching because I wanted to make a bunch of money or any of that. I can make a lot of money from coaching. I'm not going to hide that fact. I'm not saying it's a bad business. It's actually a really great business. But it's purposeful. It's purposeful. So I got really intentional about teaching other people how to coach, or how to do wholesaling, I'm sorry. And so I wrote something down I want to share with you. I wrote this down on my flight here. Because it's, no matter if you're wholesaling or trying to do whatever, this is what it really actually comes down to. Alright? And so what I realized was, we all get into this. I know it just wasn't me. All right, we all get into this and we have this like dream outcome. Do you remember how I said, you know, I used to fantasize about being the guy with the briefcase, you know, driving a Ferrari, you know, living in a mansion, flying on a private jet, all those things. Like, we all have this like dream outcome. How we want things to go, like we fantasize about life looking like. We've all been in that spot. Then we have the realization of, what is the perceived likelihood of achieving said goal, said dream? That's where everybody starts to meet their resistance. That's where we all meet our resistance. Like, I don't know if I can really do this. Oh, I don't know if I'm smart enough. Oh, I'm scared to cold call. Oh, I don't know what contract to use. Am I the only one in here that, like, when I first started, like, I just grabbed the contract off of Google and just started rocking? Is that just me? I didn't talk to an attorney, for sure, right? I'm like, okay, wholesale assignment contract.
Yeah, I can get busy with this. Like, you know, what's the worst that could actually happen? All right? I didn't change that contract until like 6 years ago. All right? So again, perceived likelihood of achievement. Think about what that really means for you. Like, do you think you can achieve your goal? Like what you're setting out to do, whether it's wholesaling, fixing and flipping, new construction. You know, like how do you perceive your ability to complete that? So here's where everybody is stuck. What is the time delay in achieving this goal? Most important, what's the effort requirement, and what are you willing to sacrifice for what you need? A lot of people don't ask themselves this. Again, what are you willing to sacrifice for the things that you say that you want? For me, when I started, I sacrificed friendships, cut off all of my friends. All of my friends I grew up with, cut them all off. Now that sounds harsh, sounds drastic, but at the time, 19 years old, a bunch of my friends were into drugs and different things. I knew I wanted to do something. I knew if I wanted to do something, I had to excel past the point of those conversations. I used to work 3 p.m. to 12 p.m. at night. That sucks. All right, maybe I was done today. This shit sucks for it. All right. 3 p.m., midnight, I would wake up every morning. Someone is in tears. Some mornings I would wake up in tears. Because I wanted it that bad. Most people don't place passion behind the things that they say that they want. They just don't. Most people don't place intentionality behind the things that they say that they want. What I want to encourage everybody to do today is start taking whatever steps you need to take forward in your business. Comparison is the thief of joy. This business is rooted in comparison. It's terrible. Social media doesn't help. We sit online and we see this person in that car. I mean, y'all went to Palm Beach. It's got to be really hard here. Right? Like, you go to your friend's house and they got this crazy mansion, and you're like, I got to go back to the other side of Palm Beach. You're like, okay. Right. Comparison makes us lose happiness, lose joy. If I can tell you guys anything, enjoy the journey. In hindsight, I don't regret anything that I've ever encountered. First went through the door, get shot. I embrace all those bullets. I'm okay with it because it's made me who I am. It's made me the person that has the ability and opportunity to help and give back to other people and be profitable. I like the profitable part too, but I like the purpose better. So what I'm telling you guys is, again, you need active income. I teach people how to wholesale. I'm not telling you to go join my program and be a wholesaler. Find active income however you can find it. Fixing and flipping, wholesaling, whatever. But you need active income. Like that, we need that to survive. That's critical. Don't forget the passive. Please do not forget the passive. My time almost up. 5 minutes. Got it. Don't forget the passive, please. But you need both. If you really want to do this, if you really want to take it to a level that we dream about, that we fantasize about, a lot of people, I'm sure you're like me when I was younger. Go get the active income. Go create the passive income opportunities. What's working for me right now in my business and has been working for me for many years is cold calling, text messaging, and voicemails. I want to encourage all of you guys, if you're wholesaling, to make sure you're doing these 3 things in your business. This is important. Cold calling is a dead art. Who in here has a fear of cold calling? Anybody? Is anybody willing to say it? You said you do? Behind you. You're not scared of cold call, okay. So nobody in here is scared of cold call. I find that fascinating. Can somebody tell me why they're scared of cold call? Rejection. Fear of rejection. That's important. See, that's a human instinct. That's human nature. Nobody likes feeling rejected. I mean, I don't. What we gotta realize though is about rejection, it's just quite simple. None of these people even know who I am. Like, none of these people I'm calling know who I am whatsoever. They've never met me before. They don't know my mom, my dad, they don't know my little brother. They don't know how much of an asshole I used to be when I was young. They don't know any of that stuff. You know what the reality is? They're going through life shit. That's the reality. How ironic is it that we're calling people in distress, but we feel uncomfortable when these people aren't well, like when they're upset, when they're frustrated, when they've got life problems. To me, it's an opportunity to be compassionate. Be of service to others. In business, in life, be of service to other people. That's the quickest way to prosperity. I encourage everybody in this room to love this business, to have fun with this business. Have a plan, be intentional, create wealth. Most importantly, all right, now this is most important. Don't go buy a brand new damn BMW off the lot. Alright? Get the one 3 years older. Alright? That's half the price. And it looks the exact same. Okay? It looks the exact same. Whenever you got in somebody's car and like, let me look at your odometer real quick. Nobody does that. Alright? What's the difference between 0 miles and 40,000? Nothing. Alright? So listen, I've enjoyed talking to you guys today. My 5 minutes is up. Alright? I'll be around for the rest of the day, so anybody wants to chop it up, ask me any questions, more than happy to talk to all you guys. Palm Beach is a beautiful place, man. Thank you guys for having me, all right?